Thanks again to ManaScheduler for sponsoring today's episode and supporting tattoo artists and shop owners.
Hey, welcome back to the Bound by Art podcast. I'm Missi Blue, tattoo artist, business owner, and your guide to navigating the chaos that is the tattoo industry. If you're an artist looking to grow your business, attract the right clients, and learn how to survive this career without losing your damn mind, then you are in the right place. Every week, I'll be bringing real talk, actionable tips, and hard-earned lessons from my own journey with a side of good vibes and a little bit of sarcasm. Whether you're new to the game, feeling stuck, or you just need a kick in the ass to get that spark back again, this is the show for you. Welcome to Bound by Art. Now let's get to work. For today's episode, I want to talk about something that affects my day-to-day life and the reason that I am the way that I am and what it actually means to live with ADHD. I'm diving into my personal journey, the challenges that I've overcome, the surprising strengths I've been able to find in myself, and the valuable lessons that I've learned along the way. Whether you have ADHD or you're just trying to better understand it, this episode is all about showing you that this disorder doesn't determine your potential. If you're ready to challenge the limiting beliefs that others try to place on you, and maybe the ones that you've placed on yourself, then you're going to want to stick around. Let's get into it. Every time I hear someone claim their ADHD as an excuse for the reason they can't do this or that, I want to scream. Having ADHD does not mean that you can't do things. I believe this with my entire being and say it confidently. If that is you and you have ADHD, listen to me. You can do hard things. I know this because I've lived my entire life with ADHD, and I will admit that I am an annual pass holder for the struggle bus, but I fucking did it, I'm doing it, and I'll continue to do this until I physically can't anymore. For the record though, there's no guarantee that's going to stop me either. It wasn't until I began looking into solutions for my then 9-year-old that I realized I was one of them. So yeah, I was late to the party, but all the research I had been doing, all the symptoms I'd been reading about were literally describing me, and I had a moment of disbelief where I tried to convince myself that I was probably just exaggerating. I had known other people with ADHD my whole life, and comparatively, there was no way that I had it too. What I didn't realize at the time was ADHD was a spectrum, and I just happened to be higher functioning than some of the folks that I knew. And to be fair, I also felt this way about being an alcoholic. I have 10 years sober now, but at the time when I was in it, I would look around and compare myself to what I consider real alcoholics and think, well, I'm not as bad as that girl, or at least I'm not like that. That dude's an alcoholic. So it's not surprising to me that I'd be this fucking unaware of myself with ADHD as well. Being unaware of myself has sort of been a theme in my life, at least in my younger years. But once I really started to identify the traits that I thought I was struggling with, I set up an appointment with a psychologist to see if he would also agree. And I went through this extensive testing that made me feel so fucking dumb at times. But other parts felt really easy, and I thought for sure there was no way I was getting diagnosed. I remember doing this puzzle. He gave me a bunch of blocks with different colored sides on them, and then he showed me a picture, and I had to turn all the blocks around to match the picture and make whatever shape was in the picture. Me being the super competitive person that I am, this became a game of how fast can I get this done, and I knew that I aced that one. But then there was the other test, where he had me sit in a cubicle with nothing else to look at but a computer. I stared at a blank black computer screen for 20 minutes. The instructions were simple. If a letter pops up on the screen, press the space bar. But if an X pops up on the screen, do nothing. I hated this test. I did so badly. Every single time that X showed up, I fucking hit the space bar. And I'd be like, fuck, I did it again. What am I doing? At some point during this 20 minutes, I remember noticing the reflection of the window that's behind me on the screen. But I didn't think anything of it at the time. The results came in and I passed or failed with flying colors. And I, in fact, had ADHD. To be exact, I was diagnosed ADHD combined type with impulsivity and working memory problems. Basically, I'm impulsive, distracted, disorganized, struggle with executive function, and I have a short attention span. Oh, and all of that with a splash of insomnia. He went over all the different parts of the test. No surprise, I did in fact kill it on the shape matching game. Also no surprise, I failed miserably at the cubicle computer game. I said, I feel like I did bad on this one. And he goes, yeah, well, you did. So thanks for sugarcoating it, Doc. I apparently missed 26 letters. 26 letters. How? I knew that I was hitting the space bar on the X's, and I knew there was a few letters that came and went so fast that I wasn't able to hit the space bar in time, but I had no clue I was missing that many. Like, what the hell was I doing? I literally had nothing else to do but look at a blank screen. And maybe the window reflection, if I had to guess, what had happened was I drifted off into some imaginary land inside this reflection and didn't notice the computer happening in front of me. I was so confused by the diagnosis, though. I didn't really think I had ADD. I was just checking, just making sure it didn't. And the test was supposed to conclude that I was exaggerating and making excuses for myself. If this was true, how the hell did I manage to get this far in life? But I actually believe that it's because of these things that I am where I am in life. Let me explain. According to the book, The Gift of Adult ADD, the 5 gifts of ADHD are: number 1, known to be creative; number 2, emotional sensitivity; number 3, exuberance; number 4, interpersonal empathy; number 5, being nature smart. So let me break down these 5 gifts of ADHD. Number 1, known to be creative. Well, obviously, this describes me completely. Without creativity, I don't believe I would have gotten this far in life. My passion and art skills definitely started me down a path, but being creative means so much more than just art. It also means I'm a dreamer, and without that ability, I never could have dreamed up the life that I have now. I created this vision of what I wanted for myself so that I could go after it. Number 2, emotional sensitivity. I don't think that most people would see this as a good thing, being an overly sensitive person, but I think of it as being emotionally sensitive to the people around me. So I am guilty of being a very deeply sensitive person at times. I've definitely gotten hardened over the years, but I think that I've always had this awareness of the people around me and their emotions and the ability to have empathy for other people, and also to be able to read the room, and I think that without that ability, the connections that I've made in my life and the network that I have, I don't think that would have been possible. As someone with emotional sensitivity, I think this also puts me in a good position to be a leader, a caretaker, and a teacher and a mentor, and someone who can really care for others and maybe reach people that others can't. Number 3, exuberance. Okay, I had to actually look up the definition for this one. I can't say anyone has ever called me exuberant, or I don't even think I've ever heard it used in a sentence in real life. But the definition reads, very lively, happy, or energetic, filled with energy and enthusiasm. I can remember being in high school and being this exact person before things got too difficult and before I kind of spiraled out and got completely lost in the world. This was me at my core. I've been sober for the last 10 years now, and I see more and more of this part of me shining through all the time. I'm genuinely happy to be alive, and I do everything I can to never take that for granted now. There was a large chunk of my life when I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out. And I wasn't even sure that I wanted to. When you're in it, you can't and don't want to see what life could be. But I'm grateful that I made it through, and I believe it was for a reason that's bigger than me, and I intend to spend the rest of my life enthusiastically trying to find out what that reason is. Number 4, interpersonal empathy, meaning concerned with improving relationships between individuals. I sometimes hyper-focus on relationships with people and find myself fully invested in their success and happiness. I'm always looking for ways to help the people that I care about, and often find myself as the mediator between friends. This has also led me to the position of mentor as well, something that I never even considered before I was actually in the role. In fact, there have been countless times in my life where I questioned why anyone would want my opinion or advice at all. Who the hell am I and what do I know, right? As it turns out, I might know some things. Number 5, being nature smart. In this book, they describe it as having the ability to discern, comprehend, and appreciate the various flora and fauna of the world as opposed to the world created by humans, and being connected with nature. I especially identify with this one. I'm not sure if everyone feels this way too, but I do feel an intense sense of grounding and understanding anytime I'm in the overwhelming presence of nature, whether I'm looking up at a night sky or out across the world from the top of a mountain or in the blue abyss while diving. I feel most at peace when I'm in these places. I look at this one as the ability to see the big picture, to think bigger than myself, and to stay grounded. In addition to these 5 gifts, I would like to add my own. Number 6. I'm an idea factory. I have the ability to have several whole thought patterns at the same time, which means I get to have lots of new ideas all at once, which is sometimes scary, but I think them all through simultaneously. Sometimes it's not the best thing and it's pretty noisy in my head, but when I can sift through all the noise, that's where I find some of my best ideas. Number 7, hyperfocus. One of the most misunderstood things about ADHD is the hyperfocus. People who honestly just don't know any better think ADHD is bullshit because how can she be so focused on that and not be able to pay attention to this? The fact of the matter is we can focus on things that interest us, only it's not just normal focus, it's unbreakable hyperfocus. When I get fixated on something, that's it. Goodbye. Don't bother trying to talk to me about anything else. I will live, breathe, sleep this new interest. I think of this as one of the greatest things that I can do. When I set my mind to opening my own tattoo shop, there was not a single soul that could derail me from this goal. Tunnel vision, hyperfocus. Number 8, inability to plan ahead. Okay, this sounds bad, but hear me out. The inability to plan ahead is probably my number 1 superpower because that means the inability to let fear of consequences stop me. That sounds reckless as fuck, right? Well, for some, that's probably true. For me, that means when I have one of my amazing ideas that I hyper focus on and absolutely zero regard for consequence, I'm not paralyzed in fear of what ifs. I don't sit around going over all the different outcomes that I might expect. I'm already in motion. I'm a freight train and I'm going somewhere and you better come with me or get the fuck out of my way, period. So when I was first diagnosed, I was so incredibly angry. I thought of all the times in my life when I felt frustrated and misunderstood and alone. I thought maybe if I had been diagnosed and had some help, things would have been different for me. But once the anger cooled and I was able to see it for what it really was, I had to do things the hard way. I had to struggle my whole life for a reason. It made me stronger. If I had been told as a child that I was different, that I couldn't do things because I had ADHD, I can guarantee you that I would have believed that. I would not have even tried. Instead, I spent my whole life trying to prove everyone wrong. I was the fuck up of the family. I couldn't do anything right, couldn't follow the rules. I was constantly getting in trouble with my parents, with school, law enforcement. I was a mess, but I had this fire in me to prove all these motherfuckers wrong. It pushed me to find my own way. I was never going to be someone with a normal job. I was never going to be the one to answer to anyone or to sit behind a desk and work 9 to 5. That was never in the cards to me. I knew from very young that I was meant for something else, something better. So no matter how many times I was told you'll never amount to anything, or you can't make a living as an artist, or you have to be really good to make it in that industry, just do it as a hobby. I was never going to be the one to give up either. And I made it through and I proved them wrong and I did the hard thing. 99% of that fight was done undiagnosed and unmedicated. I learned what worked for me, what helped me, and a lot of what didn't help me. And the biggest takeaway I have from all of this is don't let your diagnosis become your identity. You may have to work harder than the normies with some things, but you also have huge strengths where they do not. When you find and work within those strengths, you can do anything. Everyone in the world could tell you that you're capable of doing something. If you tell yourself you can't do it, you can't. You won't even try. In the same respect, if the whole world tells you that you can't do something and you believe with every fiber of your being that you can, you will absolutely find a way. You'll find your own way and you'll prove them all wrong. Change your thoughts and change your world. At the very least, I hope you feel seen and understood and just know that you can do hard things if you're willing to work for it. You'll find your own way and you'll prove them all wrong. Change your thoughts, change your world. I hope you found value in this one. Even if you don't have ADHD, maybe you have another diagnosis that people tell you will limit you. But I hope you at least feel seen and understood, and just know that you can do hard things if you're willing to work for it and find your own way. It's like I tell my daughter all the time, short kids got to get shit off the top shelf too. So your ADHD is not an excuse. You don't get out of doing things just because you have it. You got to find a way, just like the short kids got to find a way to get the thing off the top shelf. And you can have anything you want if you have the desire to work for it. For purposes and things, I'm not a doctor and I'm not qualified to give any kind of medical advice. Some of what I say might not be right for you, and that's okay too. This is just my personal experience and opinions that I wanted to share with you and hopefully give you a little bit of encouragement today.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to make some moves today. Remember, it's all about showing up, putting in the work, and staying true to yourself. If you got something out of today's episode, share it with a friend who might need to hear it, and make sure to subscribe so we can keep this momentum going. Get updates on all of our latest episodes, events, and more by following us on social media at Bound by Art Project and by heading over to the website boundbyart.com. Thanks for hanging out and putting up with my shit. I'll see you next time. Now shut up, quit making excuses, and go get better.